Hello everyone! Hope your week is starting off well. This is going to be another Cricut Maker Monday, and I'm going to be creating a onesie today. So doing things a little differently, rather than using one of the pre-made designs, I'm going to show you how to alter the font and also combine that with a few things from the image gallery to create your own design. So let's go ahead and jump over to Design Space and we will get started. So as usual, I am on my home screen and I am just going to go ahead and click New Project. And then once my Design Space has loaded, I am going to go into Images first. And from there, I'm going to grab, I'm just going to type in BOO, because there is a pre-made one that I really like. There are some really, really adorable images in here. Where's mine? It's sort of this one. I like this purple one. I like how they're attached together. So I'm going to click on that. And if you look at the bottom here, you can see that has been, that has been added. So that's one of the images that's going to come onto my Design Space. But you don't have to do each one individually. So I also want a ghost. And there's a bunch of options here too, and I do have a particular one that I am looking for. Let's see. I think it was somewhat close to the bottom. This is going to be for a little girl, so I want one that looks, you know, cutesy. Okay, and I think this is the one I went with. I'm going to scroll a little further just to make sure. Yes, actually it's this one. So you can see I've got all three of these down here now, so I'm going to scroll back up. I know I don't want this one. I want the one with the black behind it. It's just easier to see. That's the only difference between those two. So these are the only two things that I need from the image library. I'm going to go ahead and click Insert Images. That's going to pull these onto my Design Space. Very different sizes, but we will fix that in a minute here. So now I know that I'm going to be making a onesie. So the easiest way for me to do this, because I am such a visual person, is I'm going to go into the templates category here, and then strangely enough, they don't have one that is a onesie, but if you type in pajama, that will give you a onesie. So I'm going to click on that, and that's actually going to put that on my Design Space for me, which just is wonderful because you can see what you're doing and how it's going to look on what you're designing. They have lots of different options, so go ahead and explore that. You should be able to find something similar to whatever it is that you want to make. Okay, so this is going to be my little ghost here, and then I want this to say BOO-tiful. So I'm going to make that a little larger for now. I'll play around with the size in a little bit. So I'm going to show you next how to alter a font. So I'm going to go over here and click text, and that's going to give me a text box. And I'm going to add in a dash, T-I-F-U-L, tiful. So then I'm going to click off of that. I'm just going to pull that up here for now. Excuse me. And I'm going to make that a little bit larger just to make things easier. Now I want this to be in more of a girly script. So I'm going to go over here to font. And then the one that I like that is sort of a really pretty script to kind of connect together is called Alexis Maddox. So it is one of the first ones up here, this one here. Okay, so that's going to change my font. Now, as you can see, it's very spread out, and that's not what I want. I want this to look almost handwritten. So there is an option up here. You can go to letter spacing. I'm circling that here for you. And you can actually just nudge this down and make them closer together. I'm going to keep doing that to show you how that works. So there, they are almost perfect there, almost. But if you go smaller, you're going to be overlapping the wrong way. So here's how to fix this and make it look perfect. You're going to leave this highlighted here, and then you're going to double click or right click on it. I'm on a Mac, so I have to double click. And then I'm going to go ahead and click ungroup. And that's going to make each of these letters an individual item. And now I can drag these and align them the way that I want them. So the best way that I found to do this is to use your grid. And I'm actually I'm gonna go in a little bit here just to make this easier to see. Can I do one more for you? Yes, that will work. Okay, so I'm going to use my grid and I'm going to start with my L. I'm going to pull that down. I'm just going to use the line and get that right lined up perfectly there. And then I'm going to take my U and I'm going to line this up again using this bottom here, making sure that I'm on that line of the grid. Then I'm just going to pull this over until these meet. And you may have to fuss with this a little bit. You're not going to be able to use your arrow keys. This is something that you have to do with your mouse, just because I'll show you if you arrow over, it goes, whoops, I'm not highlighting. It just goes too far. It skips too far over. And this is really sort of a detailed thing. So it helps to be, you know, sort of zoomed in so you can see really well. And then I'm happy with that. And it is lined up on that bottom. So I know that I've got that nice and straight. Now, where it gets a little difficult is with the F, because that's not going to be, you know, you're not going to have that down. So I'm going to try and line that up. If I look at my L here, I'm just slightly above. So I'm going to go slightly above, and I want this to connect. So I'm just going to pull this over and down until that meshes. And that's pretty close. I'm happy with that. Next, I will again grab the eye. I'm going to put that along that same bottom edge of my grid here and just slide that over until they mesh. That is not quite perfect. I'm going to go over slightly more. Sometimes it's just a hair. Okay, I think that's close enough. And then I'm going to grab my T. Now the T is a little different here because I have my I and the swish. I'm not going to connect this. It's going to look funny. So I'm going to just line it up along the bottom and space that out to what I think looks nice. And then again, I'll grab this. This is slightly longer than I want it, so I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little shorter. And then I will go ahead and move that over as well. So there you have it. It's all lined up. Now, when you have, because these have been separated, the Cricut is still going to see them as separate letters. So what we want to do to make sure this is one nice clean cut without any type of lines in the cutting, and here I can show you this I think a little better. I'm going to select all of this. And I'm going to change the color to white, which is actually what I'm going to cut in. So now you can see what I'm talking about, where the lines are still here because it's reading all of these individually. So your Cricut would actually cut that. Now you could still place them down, you just have to be careful as you're weeding things away. So if you forget and don't do this, it's not the end of the world. You can make it work. But the best way to solve this problem is to select everything, and then you want to go down here in your layers palette and click welds. And that is going to give you straight lines for all of those. Now, again, it's not completely perfect. This one is just slightly off for me for some reason. I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to see if I can just slightly nudge that. I don't know why it doesn't want to line up for me. That's pretty good. This one I'm happy with. Might nudge that just ever so slightly. Yeah, okay, so now I'm going to select that all again, because you can see because of the lines here that they're all separate. And I'm going to go down to my layers palette and click welds. And that's going to get rid of those lines, and this will all cut as one thing. Okay, so now that I've welded that, one of the sort of quirks of the design space is that you're going to lose your template. So I'm going to zoom out, and then I will go back into templates, again type in pajamas, and go ahead and bring that back up. And that way I'll have this for lining everything up and sizing. So this is all welded now. That's basically the same thing as a group. Now, when you save this, you are not going to be able to edit it. I can go ahead because I'm in Design Space now, and I can click undo and I can make changes. But once this is saved and you close out of your program, you are not going to be able to unweld this. So just keep that in mind. If you want to make any changes, you've got to do that before you save it and close out. All right, so I've got this locked, so that's going to keep everything lined up. And I'm going to change this back to, why is it doing that? It's not letting me change the color, and that is probably a result of welding, but I don't remember that ever happening to me before. That is strange. Well, it's fine because I want it in white anyways. I was just trying to make it a little easier for you to see. So I guess what I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit. You should be able to see that fine. So I'm going to go ahead and place this down, and then I want to have this sort of hovering and the ghost kind of underneath. So I'm going to do all of this in white since I have a lavender onesie here, and I think I'm going to make the ghost slightly smaller and just give a little sort of fun angle there. Try to keep everything fairly lined up. I'm going to keep the ghost even for the most part with my script there. And I'm happy with that sizing. Now I am going to grab this and just, again, because I need to sort of see it visualized here, I'm going to center that. And I'm going to go ahead here and change this BOO to white as well. And the ghost, because that is a different layers, I'm going to actually, I think, not cut this layer. And then I will, I think, be able to, nope, same thing. It is not going to let me do that. You know what, I'm going to try ungrouping it and see if that fixes it. And now I should be able to change this color to white. There we go. Okay, so that's going to cut out the white portion of the ghost. I'm just going to hide this darker portion here. I don't think that I will want that, but I'm going to test it once I lay it out. I may decide to go back and add that, but for now I think I'm going to be happy with just the plain white, and I will leave the eyes and the mouth open. Okay, so once you're happy with your sizing and how everything's laid out, now you got to make sure it's going to fit on your onesie, because obviously onesies are different sizes. So this one is a 0 to 3. It is tiny, tiny. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this out. So we're looking at roughly 7 inches. Okay, and I'm going to keep it smaller than that. So now I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to group it. And I want to see what size I'm at here. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to, let's see, I'm at 5. So I'm going to go a little bigger. I'm going to go, I think, 6.5. And that should be good. I'm going to go back over to, I'm not sure if I do like it larger like that. And this is, you just have to play around with this for sizing and how you want things to look. I think I want it a little smaller. I'm going to try it at 5 and see how that looks. Because I do like the way that that is sort of positioned. Let's try 5.5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's about accurate for what I'm working with here. Do we want it a little smaller than that even? Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with, this is just at 5 right there. I think that's a good size. Leaves a little bit on either end. It can just be centered right there. All right, once you're happy with that, then we're going to do everything the same as we have done on the previous onesies. So I'm going to go ahead and click Make It. Whoops, we got to go back. Okay, so hit Cancel. Now when you have separate items like this, I forgot this, these are all grouped, so they're all together when I move them on the palette. But if I want it to cut like this, I need to actually attach these. So I'm going to, since they're all selected, they're already grouped, I'm going to go down and click Attach. And that means this is going to cut exactly how I have it positioned. So now I can go ahead and click Make It. And it's going to print or cut all together just in that exact shape that I want. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click Mirror because we are doing an iron-on. I'm going to be using some of my white Sicer EasyWeed stretch vinyl. This is my favorite to use anytime I'm doing a onesie or something that has stretch to it. And I will link below for you where I get that. when you're doing the iron-on, you always have to remember there's two sides. There's this shiny side here, and then there's the dull side here. I know that's a little difficult to see on camera, but in person, you will be able to tell which is which. This shiny side here is actually a plastic coating that is sticky. You're gonna weed the vinyl, the excess vinyl away, and then you'll have this stickiness left over to help keep this pressed on top of your onesie. So I'm gonna take you through all of this, and let's move the onesie out of the way for a moment. I'm working on a LightGrip mat, and if I look at my grid, I'm going to need roughly 5.5 by 3.5 should cover it. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and since this is 12, I'm going to do 3.5, and then I'll trim that down to 5. All right. Feed that through. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. There we go. Okay, so, and I'm just gonna double check my measurement. So I need 3.5. Line that up. By 5.5. Gosh, that seems small, but I know this is a very tiny onesie. 5.5 by 3.5. Okay, I'm going to just lay this out on top of the onesie again, just to make sure, now that I have this piece cut, that I'm happy with that sizing. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of that other extra piece so I don't confuse the two. Move this out of the way. And then I will get my mat ready. Okay, so again, the shiny side, the plastic shiny side is going to go down onto the mat. And we want to make sure that we have the mirror turned on, that the shiny side down and the mirror image turned on are the most important things to remember when you're doing iron-on vinyl. Okay. Make sure that's nice and flat and there's no bubbles. Okay. And our mirror is on. I'm going to click continue. It's going to go ahead and read my machine. I have mine on Bluetooth, so sometimes it takes a minute here. There we go. Alright, I'm going to go into popular because I know it's going to be up here, and I'm going to grab iron on, everyday iron on. I'm going to click on that. Now up here it's going to give you this alert. Make sure mirror is turned on and iron on material is face shiny side down on the mat. Again, you can come over here and check. Mirror on, so that's great. And then the fine point blade is what I need, and I already have that in my machine. So okay, so everything on my mat is ready to go, and my machine is ready to go. I'm gonna load in my mat. And once my Cricut lights up, I will go ahead and click go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and unload that. And then remember, you're going to peel the mat off of your material, like so. I'm gonna grab my marker and add a line so I know I've used this one more time. And then get my mat put away. Oops. Drives me crazy when it's not lined up. Okay, close enough. Okay, so I am now going to go ahead and grab my BrightPad. Okay, so I have gone ahead and grabbed my BrightPad here. And I'm going to use this to weed out the excess vinyl. So I've got the shiny side down. And I know this is white on white. It's going to be difficult for you to see, but the light is really going to help me to get everything out here. So I think what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to start at the edge. And I'm just going to get that corner separated. And then I can peel back and you'll see a little bit better what I'm working on, hopefully. So I'm going to be really careful with this because these letters aren't super thin, but the script I want to make sure is going to stay all together. So right now I'm at the ghost and the boo, I'm not as worried about that. But there are some thinner lines in this script and I just want to make sure that I'm only pulling away the portion that I want to pull away. Especially want to be careful of the dot over my eye. Because sometimes that can be tricky when it cuts out. Okay, so we've got that. Now around the letters, you just sort of have to work with them. Just pull and move in the direction that the letters or the vinyl around the letters is moving. You can always go back in and get more later. You just want to make sure not to rip anything if something hasn't happened to cut super clean. I have a new blade, so it should be all good. Okay, great. So now I'm going to get rid of the middle sections of the letters. So I'm going to start here. I find that it's easier to start sort of at the smaller end. So the point end of what I'm weeding away in the script is where I usually go to. The ghost is going to be a little bit difficult just because the things I'm taking out are so tiny. Just gonna sort of peel up and do my best. Okay, and now these last ones shouldn't be too bad. If your nails get in the way, remember you can always have a set of tweezers and grab that way if you're having trouble getting it with your fingers. All right. So there is our design. Okay, I'm gonna get this BrightPad put away, and then I will, through the magic of editing, be back with my heat press momentarily. Okay, so I know that it is difficult to see, but I'm going to grab, just pull my heat press over here now so you can get a quick look at it. And hit the power button. This is red because it's still heating up. It's going to go to 340. That's what I like to use for a onesie with the sizer vinyl that I use. But if you're using something different or if you're working on a different type of material, you will want to try it out. Just test a small piece to make sure that it's what you want, or start on a lower setting, and then if that doesn't work, you know, just move incrementally higher. That way you're not wasting any of your material. So it's just going to heat up. Once it's ready, it's going to beep to let me know, and this will turn green. And then here's how you adjust the temperature if you need to, temperature as well as the timer. I have mine set for 30 seconds. I always leave it at 30 seconds. I've never had any trouble with anything sticking. But again, I do mostly onesies, so I haven't done a whole lot of different materials. Maybe we'll pull some of those in for some future Cricut Mondays and play around with those. Okay, I'm gonna set this off to the side. And here I've got my mat. This is just going to make sure that nothing underneath where I'm working gets hot. This will suck up all that heat for me. And I'm going to grab the onesie. So this is pretty flat, pretty ready to go. But I do want to hit it just to make sure all my seams are even and I have a nice flat working surface. So while this is warming up, I'm at around 3:30. I should be there any second now. There we go. That's that beep I was talking about. I'm just going to run this just like I would with an iron over top just to make sure everything's nice and smooth. Keep sticking my elbow on that design. Okay. And I'm just going to press this part too, just to make sure everything's nice and straight. And then the difficult part with onesies is that sometimes the seams aren't perfect. This one is pretty good, but I'm going to show you the best way I know to, you know, if you don't have sort of a V telling you where the center is, you do have, you know, this down here as well, but it's a little hard to line that up sometimes. So I'm going to take my seams, my shoulder seams like this. I'm going to line those up, and if those are matching, then I know I've got a pretty good plumb line down the center. So I'm just gonna, again, all the way down, I'm gonna line up these seams because you don't wanna go through all this work and then have it not be straight. And you will get a wrinkle or two, so you wanna watch that as well. I just sort of go in and smooth that out, doing my best to keep everything nice and smooth, and at the same time, all of my seams lined up. So the shoulders look good and the side looks good. So I'm going to take my press, fold there too. I'm going to take my press and I'm just going to run that right across here. This is going to put a crease, but not a crazy crease. It's just going to let me know where my center is. And then, oops, I don't like that. There we go. And then I'm just going to open that back up. And there I've got my center line. So that'll help me get everything lined up. And I am going to flatten that out, but I'll still be able to see it for the most part here. Okay. So I've got my design. And again, I'm going to make sure I don't have anything stuck on there that I don't want. Looks good. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and line this up. Checking to make sure it's nice and straight. Using that plumb line down the center. It helps me sometimes to look up at my camera too. I don't think that's quite straight. Just do the best you can. Like, it's never going to be absolutely perfect. Okay. Can lift it up and check. Sort of see how it'll hang. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that looks good. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get this ironed on. I've got a cover cloth here, so you can tell it's been very used. This I picked up, it's not Cricut, I picked it up at Joann's a while ago. I've had it for years. I'm not sure if Cricut makes one or not, but you could use like a handkerchief or something like that, just something to protect from the iron. I'm gonna press this down, and I think this is going to cover the whole thing. I'm going to actually go this way, and that way I know it's going to cover the whole thing. So I'm going to press this down, and I'm going to hit that green button that's going to start my timer. And I'm just going to rest my hands on this. I'm not pressing down, I'm just adding a little pressure, just keeping it nice and sturdy. And the nice thing about the heat press is that it is a nice even heat, whereas you can definitely do this with an iron. You don't have to have this, but it will take you a little bit longer, and you'll need to be careful when you start peeling things away just to make sure you're getting all your edges. So there's my 30 seconds. I'm going to flip this over, and now I will press from the back. Again, I'm going to use my cloth just to little protection on the back as well. I'm gonna again turn it this way to make sure I'm hitting that and hit my timer. Okay, so now I'm going to peel away the backing, flip that over, and everything should be down. So I'm going to grab a corner, and I'm going to go, this is hot, so don't burn yourself, give it a minute if you need to. The Sicer EasyWeed is a hot peel. There are different types of vinyl, so make sure what you're using, you know if it's a hot or a cold peel. Some of them you need to let cool completely, otherwise they're going to pull up as you take away this backing. Okay, so I'm going to just slowly, making sure all my edges are okay, especially the tail, especially this line here, the lines of the T, and most especially the dot of that eye. And then the rest should be pretty good. All right, great. And one more time, this is a little bit of overkill, but I do it every time. I just want to make sure that's down nice and tight. Now that that covering is gone, I'm going to place my cloth down, and I'm going to let this sit for one more round of 30 seconds. This is not a Cricut thing that they tell you to do, but I recommend it. It just makes me feel more safe that it's actually on there and on there to stay. Okay, and that will do it. I'm going to give these ruffles a little iron, although I'm mailing this, so it's probably going to get scrunched again, but super cute, BOO-tiful. I'm really pleased with how that came out. All right, as always, if you guys have any questions about anything, just let me know in the comments below, and I will do my best to help you figure it out. If there is a particular project that you would like me to go through and do with you, let me know that in the comments below, and I will definitely take a look at it. As for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you soon.